Okay, gonna do the purl stitch. Okay, first make our slip knot. We have a loop. Whatever's on bottom is the one we lay the loop over and grab. Tail in the front. We'll cast on 12 stitches. We're going to do the purl stitch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And I ended up with 13. Doesn't really matter. We're doing the purl stitch. Did I count correctly this time? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. All right. She could count. Okay. So, with the purl stitch, okay, we want to get our yarn in our left hand, however is comfortable. This is how I hold mine. I start here, close to the needle, in between those two with the working yarn heading toward the ball, going out the back. Okay, slide it down, and then put my index finger underneath it so that I hold it up like that. Okay. All right. Now, just like with the knit stitch, anytime I do a flat knitted piece, I like to keep a very neat selvage edge by knitting the first stitch and slipping the last stitch as if to purl, even if I'm doing all purl stitches. Okay? And so, I'm going to go through, going through like that, knit the first stitch. Okay? Now with the purl stitch, bring your yarn to the front. We're going to go into the front of the stitch. With the knit, we go this way. With the purl, we go in this way. Okay? And then, you're going to, again, going clockwise, but you're going under the yarn. Whenever it's in the back and we do the knit stitch, we go on top, but it's still clockwise, like that. Okay? Now, we have the working yarn in the front. We're still going to go clockwise, but we start out underneath the yarn. Again, hold your yarn, finish the wrap, go back through that opening you just went into, go back out, let go, and drop it off the left needle. Okay? So yarn stays in the front because all of these are purl stitches. And I'm just pulling it way forward so that you can see how I'm inserting the needle. Go into the stitch in the front, and just like with the knit where the yarn went back to where the yarn was, yarn's in front, the tip of the needle is coming through to where the yarn is. Okay? Go under the yarn, go clockwise, hold, go back through, let go, and take it off. Go through, wrap, hold it there, back through the way you came in, and take it off. You don't have to push it, really going in this direction. I wonder why, but it just falls off. Okay, wrap. I don't think I ever noticed that. Okay, now I'm using my middle finger to hold these on the left hand needle to hold these stitches in place. Okay, I do that whether I'm knitting or purling. Okay, I just don't want to pull them off while I'm moving my right hand needle around. Okay, but I haven't got a death grip on it. I'm just lightly have my finger on there to hold it in place. So I'm going to come through here, come through the front of the stitch to the front of the work, go under clockwise, go back through the way that I came in, let go of that stitch, and I guess I'm really sliding my left needle out more than I'm pushing it off. Like with the knit stitch, yarn's in the back, go through this way, wrap, come back out, and push. But whenever you do the purl stitch, whenever your needle comes back out, instead of being to the rear of the worked stitch, it's to the front, so it just comes off by itself. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, see when you knit, okay, the needle comes out and the new stitch is back here, and so you push it off. When you purl, yarn's in front, wrap clockwise. The difference being that you're already going in the direction of the tip of the needle, okay? With a knit stitch, your momentum's coming toward the back, and so you have to go in the opposite direction. Now, last stitch, yarn forward, in as if to purl, and then just slip that stitch off, okay? When you turn it around, we're going to knit that stitch, knit that first stitch. Now I was all higgledy-piggledy all over the place with this row, so we're going to purl all of these stitches, okay? Yarn to the front, tip of the right needle going into the front of the stitch, go under that working yarn, wrap, hold it, going to go back out and just keep heading off the needle. Okay, come into the front, wrap, hold it, go back through, and just keep going off in the direction you're going. Through the front, wrap clockwise, back the way we came in, and then slide it off. And you don't have to yank it off. Just let it go. That's where it wants to go anyway. Wrap clockwise, hold. Clockwise, hold, and then off of the needle. Okay, yarn in the front, wrap it, and then off. Wrap the yarn clockwise, hold it, oops, let go. Go back the way you came in, let go, and let it slide off. Wrap, and let it slide off. Wrap, and it's going that way anyway, because that's the way you're taking your needle out, and you're just continuing that motion to pull that stitch off. Okay, last stitch, yarn to the front, which it already was, and then in as if to purl, like you've been doing the whole row, and then just slip it instead of working it. Okay, first stitch, knit that first stitch. Okay, then we're going to yarn in the front, clockwise wrap, hey bravo, and then just let the stitch come off. Oops, let my yarn go to the back. Because if your yarn's, okay, you stay off there, sweetie. If your yarn were in the back, okay, and you went to try and purl, then you're going to get all kinds of crazy stuff, okay, and possibly split your thread. So your yarn's in the front because that's where you're headed. You're going back to front when you purl. Back to front, counterclockwise wrap, clockwise wrap, back through where you came in, and then let it fall off. Yarn's in front, tip to the front, clockwise wrap, let it fall off the tip. Okay, now I don't know if you can really tell. Well, if this were tight, you could see it on my finger. Okay, there you go. Wrap clockwise, hold, and then let it slide off. Let it slide off. Last stitch, go through the front as if to purl, just slip it off your left needle. And one of the fun things, there are tons of things that you can do with knit and purl. Use them all the time. People say everything is knit and purls, and it's pretty much true. Okay, knit the first stitch. Okay, for instance, ribbing. That's the up and down lines that you see around collars and the waist of sweaters, the cuffs of sweaters. Okay, it's a knit stitch and then a purl stitch. Through the back, off, yarn to the front, through the front, okay, through the back, yarn to the front, needle to the front, wrap, yarn to the back, needle to the back, clockwise wrap, come through, push off, yarn to the front, needle to the front, clockwise wrap, it goes off the tip, and then knit, bring everything going to the front for purl, keep it in the front, slip the last stitch. Now often what patterns and things will say is work stitches as they face you. Okay, if you look closely at these stitches, this, see how the base of that is flat? The base of this one has a bump, flat, okay? The back of a purl stitch is a knit stitch as it faces you. So this would be knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, okay? So that's what we'll do. Knit the first stitch for your selvage, okay? Yarns in back, knit, clockwise wrap, back out, push it off, yarn to the front, clockwise wrap, let it fall off, yarn to the back, needle to the back, yarn to the front, needle to the front, yarn to the back, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, oopsie, yarn's already there, slip. We'll do one more row of that and you'll see what I mean. Knit, and then see how it's facing you. Okay, we have flat here, bumps here. So that's knit as it faces you, and this is a purl as it faces you. Through the front, to the back, yarn, tip to the front, yarn to the back, tip to the back, yarn to the front, tip to the front, back, front, back, front, and slip the last one. And now you can see how that looks like that ribbing that you see around collars and cuffs and waistbands on sweaters. And then if you do the opposite of what those stitches are as they face you, it's called seed stitch. Knit that first stitch for your selvage. This is a knit stitch as it faces you, so we're going to purl it. This is a purl stitch as it faces you, knit it. Do that all the way across. I'm going to purl what looks like a knit stitch and knit what looks like a purl stitch. Front to the back, to the front, to the back, front, back, yarn to the front, slip as if to purl that last stitch, turn, and we'll do one more, knit that first stitch. This looks like a purl, so we're going to knit it. This looks like a knit, so we're going to purl it. Knit, purl, knit, purl. Oopsie, split my thread. Purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, slip that last one. Let's see how those are. This is called seed stitch. That's a fun decorative little stitch that can be used on lots of things. When adding texture to things, especially for infants, it's really nice to have combinations of stitches like that that give them good texture so they touchy-feely. Okay. And because this is a purl video, we will finish up with a row of purl. Knit the first stitch, that's selvage, yarn to the front, go to the front of the stitch, needle tip to the front, clockwise wrap, hold it, go back through the way you went in. Come through, wrap, back through, off, wrap, and off. Come through, wrap, hold it, and then off. And whenever you're going back that way, just let the momentum of the needle just take the stitch off. You don't have to pull. All right. And that is the purl stitch. And slip that last one as if to purl. And see, nice selvage. Really nice selvage. Okay, so if you have the knit and the purl, there are tons of things you can do now. Tons of things. You're a knitter.